The 2023 Bucks and Montgomery County housing market is chaotic. We've reached a 20-year high of interest rates, nearly 7.5%. We keep hearing the term correction, that the Fed is looking for a correction. What does that mean? Housing market correction is when everything returns to a state of normal. And their idea of raising rates is to curb inflation, which is inflated home prices, and bring them down to market value. But I guess we ask ourselves, what is market value if houses are really selling for these prices? So not only are houses expensive in general, but interest rates are high. It's becoming so expensive to purchase a home today. I guess the Fed's idea of raising rates is gonna bring housing prices down because people can afford less. But let's talk about what's actually happening in the market. There's still a ton of demand. I mean, you're talking bidding wars, people waiving contingencies. There's fierce competition because there's such little to choose from. People are starting to settle. So let's talk about inventory and why there's so little of it. Well, it's kind of obvious that people that bought houses 3 years ago and have interest rates of 3% or even lower than that don't want to sell their home for 7.5%. I mean, you're talking the difference of $1,000 plus a month for a house. Most of those people are going to wait out the market. They're just going to keep saying, I'm just going to wait for this to normalize. I'm going to wait for rates to come down. So here's the problem. If they're not willing to sell their house now and rates are going to continue to be high and there's so little to pick from, well, then houses are only going to get more and more and more expensive. And the Fed's going to continue to raise rates. There's no solution if the hike continues. We need the rates to come down. We need them to come down so that people will sell their house and the market will open up and there's more for people to choose from. Because when that happens, there's less competition and home prices will come down. So let's take a look what's going on in Bucks County. With today at 7.5% interest rates, there's been an 18% decrease in home sales since July of 2023 in Bucks County. So we're seeing fewer and fewer home sales, but that has to do with what's available on the market. In fact, this time last year, there were 267 more homes available. However, when we look at the median price, this time last year, the median price for a home sold in Bucks County is $467,000. Right now, it's $480,000. And fewer days on market. We're looking at 14, whereas opposed last year they were 18. So are these higher interest rates really curbing the inflation and bringing down the competition? That just seems to not be the case. Let's take a look at what this means on a national level. The median sales price for the month of July 2023 was $406,000. That's just $7,000 short of an all-time high. With 7.5% interest rate, it just seems that it's not slowing down the market. If we take a look at what's available, the majority of it is new construction. And what's crazy to me is that the median price of a new construction home is about to be less than the median price of a quote unquote used home. I mean, it has somewhat to do with the builder being able to offer incentives like buying down the rates and covering their closing costs and eliminating square footage. But the reality is there's nothing to choose from in terms of used home. I don't need to keep hammering the idea that there's no inventory on the market, but if we actually take a look at the numbers, in Bucks County alone, we're experiencing a 10% decrease in houses available from last year. Rates initially began to trend upward of last year in March, and that's when we saw fewer and fewer people wanting to sell their homes. So the number one question everyone asks me is, when are these rates going to drop? I try to get as much information as I can, speaking with lenders and other real estate agents, and it's really hard to predict. But what we need to happen is we need to see more homes come to the market. We need to see less demand, less competition. We need to see home prices to normalize. In Bucks County alone, we're still seeing homes sell anywhere from 15 to 20% over asking. Now, it's a big question for us to ask ourselves, are we listing these homes too low? Or is this really where the demand is? Now, this continues to keep up. I guess the only answer is they're gonna wanna continue to raise rates. But again, it all circles back to the idea what if there was more on the market so that these homes weren't selling so over asking? It doesn't seem like interest rates are gonna drop anytime soon. In fact, I think rates are gonna continue to rise throughout the rest of 2023, hoping that if we reach that 2% inflation mark that the Fed is hoping to hit by 2024, they'll start bringing rates down slowly. I guess the fear is that if we hit that too soon and we start bringing rates down too slowly, well then does everything start to get expensive again? But nothing can get more expensive than the way it is now with rates being so high. So what do you do if you're a home buyer in today's market? Do you sit on the sidelines? The answer to that question is no. I mean, these rates are gonna drop at some point and you're gonna be able to refinance. Would you have rather paid 2 years of a mortgage to yourself and have equity in a home that you wouldn't have had if you had waited? Eventually, the home prices are gonna come down as more becomes available on the market, as we can only hope so. lessening competition, giving buyers more of an opportunity. A lot of investors will always tell you the best time to purchase a house is now. It was always better yesterday and maybe even better tomorrow, but the best time is right now. So I wish I could say where these rates were headed and what 2024 looks like, but the reality is it can't go on much longer because demand is continuing to be strong, competition is continuing to be fierce, and home prices are continuing to increase. I guess we just have to hope that at some point the Fed lets up these rates and the market opens up.